Hello there and welcome to day 52. Today is a workout day, so open up that app, spreadsheet, or workout paper, see what you've got on the agenda, check the numbers that you've got in the previous workout, and mentally prepare yourself to crush those numbers. We are going to break down an exercise more in depth for you. So check out this exercise. I will go over in detail what you should be focusing on to get the maximal benefits from the movement. So with today's topic being the do's and don'ts to building big legs, I wanted to focus on a leg exercise in this video. You'll have to excuse me staring creepily at the camera there for a bit. I had to make sure I had an angle where you could see everything. But the exercise we're covering today is the single leg press. So a couple things to notice here. First off, my repetitions are very smooth and slow. I'm never going with short, bouncy repetitions, especially the negative on the way down. You'll notice how slow it is. And then I'm pausing briefly at the bottom just for a split second before controlled contraction back up to the top. You never want to explode too fast to the way up. You want to focus on contracting the muscles as hard as you can and allow that to be what drives the weight up. You'll also notice that I'm keeping my hand on the side of my thigh. This is because I'm focusing on building up my quad sweep to greater enhance the illusion of an X-frame with wide shoulders, a narrow waist, and then sweeping quads. By having my hands on the side of my thighs, I'm able to focus on the fibers in the muscle contracting and twitching throughout the entire movement. I can feel the fibers stretching and lengthening on the way down. I can feel them twitch and contract at the pause, and then I can feel them squeeze the weight back up to the top. This is a great exercise to incorporate because if you only do dual leg exercises, such as the standard leg press or the squat, then a dominant leg can take over and cause an imbalance. As the dominant leg gets stronger, the weaker leg can fall behind and continue to lag behind the stronger leg. This is not only important for aesthetics, but it's also important for safety, as an imbalance will later translate into issues with your hips or knees just with walking or going up the stairs. Here I am with the other leg. You'll notice another thing, and that is that the time under tension in these sets is very long. So it took me about 2 minutes just to get the repetitions in the one leg. And this isn't because I'm doing very high repetitions. I think I only got 17 repetitions on each leg, as that was what was needed for this workout to progressively overload in reps with the weight that I was using. By using this time under tension, even by incorporating lower repetition ranges, I'm able to use heavier weights, more controlled form with the contraction, enhance the time under tension, and not kill my joints. Another thing that you'll notice with this exercise is that I'm only going down to about a 90-degree bend in the knee before pausing and driving back up. This is because if I go any further than this, I start to feel the exercise a lot more in my glute and less in my thighs and hamstrings. Also, if I go too deep, my lower back will start to come slightly off the pad and I can feel pressure shift onto this. I want to keep all the tension in my legs, so I'm going for a full range of motion in what I can feel in my thighs and hamstrings. If you're forcing the range of motion to go any further than what you can keep tension on your thighs and hamstrings, allowing other muscles to kick in, your development will be limited as those stronger muscle groups will take over the movement. I hope you found that informative. If you do have any other questions on that exercise or a specific exercise you'd like to see me cover in a future video, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. Now, the topic of today's video I feel ties in quite nicely with that exercise because it's a question that I received based off of a video I posted a few days ago listing my check-ins. And the question that was asked was, how do I grow big legs? And how did you, meaning me, improve your legs so much? This question was posed after the check-in video I posted most recently at the 7-week mark, where you could see from the start to week number 7 just how much my legs had grown over the past 7 weeks. So I'm going to break down to you what I've used in the past as leg growing strategy, what's worked for me and my clients, what hasn't worked for me and my clients, and some of the key things I think you should focus on to grow big legs. First off, a little backstory on my legs. So they are not what I would call a genetic weakness. However, they were definitely behind my upper body when I first started training. And this was not from a lack of effort. I trained legs as hard as anybody I knew who went to the gym that I did, sometimes for 2+ hours at a time. I've passed out after a leg day. I've thrown up during a leg day. I've had all sorts of crazy stories in between. I would do drop sets, I would squat super heavy, and my legs did get strong and they got great endurance, but they did not grow. Part of the issue I had was I do have long femurs. As a taller individual, my legs are on the longer side, which makes it take a little bit longer to fill out as you add that muscle density. But the other major factor to this was I didn't know how to train my legs properly to stimulate muscle growth. I knew how to train them hard, I knew how to train them heavy, I knew how to train them intensely, but I did not know how to stimulate them correctly. So I'm going to break down a few things to avoid, 3 things to be specific, that you should avoid when trying to build big legs, and 3 things that you should focus on when trying to bring your legs up. They worked for me, they've worked for a lot of people I've trained as well, so I hope they will work for you. Let's start with the 3 biggest mistakes that I used to make when training my legs that hindered my progress. I'm going to bring them to you now so you can avoid making these same 3 mistakes. Number 1, stay away from junk volume. So volume training is not a bad thing per se, but junk volume can be detrimental to muscle growth. So what is junk volume? Junk volume is basically when you do a lot of sets and repetitions of certain exercises with no real purpose for those sets and repetitions. For example, instead of doing several warm-up sets and then one heavy progressive overload set for an exercise, you would do 5 or 6 working sets where you go nowhere near failure. This is junk volume because you're not really training hard enough during those sets to stimulate anything, but at the same time you are working your joints and your body and your central nervous system, so you're hindering recovery. So it's not doing anything to promote muscle growth, and it's actually hindering recovery, which stops you from making maximal gains in progress. Number 2, don't lift with your ego. This one should be obvious, but sometimes it comes in a little bit of a disguised look. Just because I was lifting very heavy doesn't mean that my form was bad early on in my leg training. However, I was so focused on moving a heavy amount of weight, even though I was using textbook form, I was not able to feel or focus on contracting and stretching my muscles optimally throughout the set. Lifting with your ego doesn't necessarily mean you're doing those 2-inch reps you see in the gym fail videos. It can mean you're just using too heavy of a weight to focus on muscle contractions, which is a major part of stimulating muscle hypertrophy and growth. Number 3, do not copycat your favorite professional bodybuilder's workout. Everybody's body is built differently, so just because one person says squats are the best exercise to grow your legs may be true for them, it may not be true for you, or it may. You have to experiment and find what exercises you are able to connect with the best and then progressively overload on those. If you feel squats in your lower back more than your legs, perhaps a hack squat, leg press, or squat machine would be a better option. Conversely, if leg extensions really bother your knee, then a split squat or something along those lines may be a better option for you as well. Find what exercises you can connect with, progressively overload on those, practice and perfect them, and your legs will grow. Now moving on to the 3 do's. Do train heavy, but train to feel the muscle first. This may mean backing off a little bit on the weight to start so that you're really able to feel a contraction in the targeted muscle every single rep, and then a stretch into the bottom portion of the repetition. Once you're able to really build up that good mind to muscle connection, then start adding weight and progressing up from there. It is critical to go nice and slow and controlled with the repetitions and focus on feeling every inch of the movement. Practice until this becomes second nature, and it will make a huge difference in your leg development. Number 2, do stimulate the legs frequently. So there's 2 main ways of training. You can train with higher volume once a week, or you can train with slightly lesser volume more frequently, like 2 or 3 days a week. You can play with each way and find which variation works best for you. But for me personally, I have found better results by doing slightly lower volume and stimulating the legs more frequently throughout the week. This is one of the major benefits of how the 12-week blueprint to muscle is laid out, as you do get much more frequently stimulated muscles while at the same time allowing much more recovery in between the workouts. You get enough stimulation in there to cause hypertrophy and growth, and then you follow it up immediately with an active recovery day to allow the muscle to respond and grow before stimulating it again. This means throughout the week, the volume is essentially the same. Just instead of doing 9 to 10 leg exercises in one session, I'm doing 9 to 10 leg exercises split up throughout the week. It's the same number of exercises, the same number of sets and reps that I would be doing, just broken up over more frequent workouts for more frequent muscle stimulation while allowing that recovery in between. And lastly, do track progressive overload. If you have a stubborn muscle group, then I cannot tell you how important I've found it and how amazing the results have been by focusing on getting perfect form and then actually tracking progressive overload in the correct manner that's laid out in the 12-week blueprint to muscle to continually make progress. This has been the absolute make or break biggest factor in the rapid development I've been able to achieve over the past 7 weeks. Just remember, when you are able to go up that extra rep or 2 or add that extra 5 or 10 pounds to the exercise, make sure you're still able to use proper controlled form and are able to feel the muscle just as well as you were with the previous weight. So those are the 3 do's and 3 don'ts that I've found have made a dramatic difference in the results I've gotten from training my legs. So I hope this helps you in some way, and I hope you have a fantastic workout and the rest of your day. I will see you in tomorrow's video.